to make bread. It's not that complicated to learn how to make bread. You do have to go through a few steps though, and this is mostly why some people prefer to buy it from a bakery. However, being able to say that you know how to make bread is pretty impressive, isn't it? Just a heads up, bread making requires some technique. Even experienced home cooks may not always be up to the challenge, especially if they are inclined to take shortcuts or do things haphazardly. Take a look at the basic bread recipe below. Assemble the ingredients and make a conscious effort to enjoy the process. Here are the steps. 1. To make a basic bread loaf, you will need 2 pounds of bread flour, 3/4 ounce of dried yeast, 2 cups of warm water, a little bit of honey or corn syrup, and a tablespoon of salt. You should also keep a bit of flour for dusting. 2. Dilute the honey or corn syrup in 2 cups of warm water. Stir in the sweetener and gradually mix the dry yeast into the mixture until everything is dissolved. 3. Take out a heavy-duty stand mixer or bread-making machine and place the bread flour into the mixing bowl. Sprinkle in the salt and pour in the water and yeast mixture until you have formed dough. If you're doing this by hand, keep kneading until you have something smooth and not too sticky nor too dry. 4. Shape your dough into a ball and let it rest in a lightly greased bowl. You will know that the dough has risen enough if it does not spring back when poked with a finger. Expect the dough to be about double its original size. This should take about an hour and a half in a warm, undisturbed spot in the kitchen, such as the top of the refrigerator. If you can let it rise for longer than that, then do so, because it will really improve the texture of your bread. 5. After it is risen, roll out the dough on a clean surface that has been lightly dusted with more flour to prevent sticking. Knead it thoroughly to get all the air pockets out and decide what you want it to be shaped like. Divide the dough into separate portions, one for each piece of bread that you will be making. Wrap each piece of dough in some plastic and let it rest for a few minutes. 6. After a few minutes, take the dough out of the plastic wrap and shape it. You can divide it into loaves or create intricate braided designs like they do in Europe. 7. Place your shaped bread dough into a cookie sheet or loaf pan. Cover it with more plastic wrap and let it sit again. It should rise to double its size once more because the yeast is still multiplying. This time, though, the rising period should be just half as long as the first time. 8. Make a few slashes on the top of the bread using a fork or very sharp knife, depending on what you want it to look like, and pop it into a 375-degree oven. 9. The baking time for your bread will depend on the size of each piece. The bigger each loaf is, the longer it will take to cook. It is done when it looks golden brown and gives off a hollow sound when tapped on the bottom. When the baking bread starts to give off a nice smell in the oven, it means it's done or nearly so. 10. Take it out of the oven and let it cool on a rack to prevent it from getting soggy. Now that you have seen how to make bread, give it a try. Homemade bread tastes amazing, and if you slice it and keep it in the freezer, it can last for weeks.